Alright, so let's talk about Berkeley. I spent a majority of today wondering whether I want to make a video. I mean, it's not really a video. Wondering if I wanted to talk about this or not. And I've just been pissed off all day long about what happened yesterday at UC Berkeley. For those who don't know, famous provocateur, conservative, alt-right speaker Milo Yiannopoulos was slated to go ahead and talk about, cultural appropriation at UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, for those who don't know what UC is. And he's been hitting all the other UCs, UC Davis, and I can't remember the other, California Polytech. So he's been making his way there. Well, what happened yesterday, February 1st, basically a bunch of protests began outside of the auditorium where Milo was going to speak. And of course, everyone's favorite anti-fascists, also referred to as the Antifa, I think I pronounced that right, decide to show up and wreck shit. So this, as far as I know, is one of the largest protests / riots that I've seen involving Milo, involving just speakers coming to college campuses explicitly. And it was, needless to say, it was shocking. It was disturbing. I've always been aware that college campuses are a bastion for liberal thought, for leftists to really kind of conglomerate together and just push out any dissenting points of view, such as conservative, nationalist, populist points of view, libertarian points of view, even oftentimes that we see today, classical liberal points of view. Basic, like Thomas Paine writes a man stuff here. Really not anything that people would question, but in academia it has gotten to a point that people are starting to reject those basic individual rights, that they are starting to just come up with complete nonsense, honestly, regarding, I don't know, I mean, shit. People are starting to go off and say that, people are starting to go and say that gender is non-binary, that even sex is just a social construct. I read an essay back in a bioethics class I took last semester where philosopher, bioethicist Faust Sterling was discussing how there's actually 5 genders, there's 5 sexes. Explicitly what Sterling said is there's 5 sexes. And it's just these weird points stuck between intersex, stuck between individuals that are born as hermaphrodites. And that's a case-by-case thing where it's weird, but that doesn't mean there's 5 different sexes. They exist on a spectrum between male and female. Sure, their genes got a little fucky, but, I mean, there's still only 2, male and female. So, all of that right there to say, the left has lost their goddamn minds here. And we saw this yesterday at Berkeley. Not only have they've taken on this air of essentially pretending they're anti-fascist, pretending they're anti-establishment, pretending they're for individual rights. They're taking the rights of people, the First Amendment, free speech, to silence others, to silence opinions that they don't necessarily agree with. And that right there is a scary thing. Because yeah, they have the ability, they have the protection under the Constitution to voice their opinions freely, to talk about how much they hate Milo, to talk about how much they believe that gender is non-binary and that sex is just a social construct. They have the right to do that, and that's fine. But the problem is when they get, first of all, not necessarily even start to protest, but get physically violent, assaulting other individuals, defacing property. They burnt down a damn light fixture and started dancing around it. Like, that's how extreme this has gotten. This is some stuff. This is acts that you would see in, like, the time period when Greece was going bankrupt. This has not been really seen in America, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Lauren Southern talked about in a video earlier today on how the right needs to start defending themselves. We can't sit down and let the left just bully us because we don't want to fight back, because we're going to get torn apart. If they throw punches, we need to punch back twice as hard, in my personal opinion. And that's one of the reasons I'm making this, is that I'm sick and tired of seeing the left, seeing leftist kids in my class, these professors, spout off their ideas, and whenever someone like me or myself offers an opposing point of view, we're just shut down, we're shut up, we're pushed out of class. And it's ridiculous, it's bullshit. Academia should be a place where ideas thrive, where the forum for open discussion constantly exists, but that's not the case that we see anymore. That's not the case. The left doesn't want any other point of view. They only want theirs. So this is a call out to not just conservative, not just those on the right. It's a call out to any liberals, any leftists that do care about freedom of speech, that do care about open discussion of ideas, of basic human interaction, of trying to get over our problems. Because I am conservative. However, I do believe that the liberals have their place in society. I mean, shit, I'd be an awful human being if they didn't. But liberals do have their place. They exist for a reason, just as conservatives exist for a reason. There's a balance. There's a balance between everything. And the two fighting back and forth reach some type of synthesis. We reach some type of middle ground that we can agree on. Now, I may hit a leftist hard over the head on conservative policy, but at the same time, it's all for the sake of trying to reach a point that we can agree on, that we can further policy, that we can further politics, that we can further just human decency, the stature of this nation, to really make America a better place for the future generations to come. So to anyone out there that still cares about free speech, that still cares about individual civil liberties, that still cares about standing up for truth and justice, fight back. Don't let the left, this radical amalgamation of some kind of dystopian monster, push you around. It's time to fight back. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.